Everybody needs a hobby, and I don't care what it is. You can collect buttons or barbed wire. It doesn't matter what it is, but you need a hobby outside of what you do for a living. The most intriguing part of hybridizing plants is you make a plant that has never existed before. I guess just like people having kids, you make a kid that it's the first time, that's it, it's a unique experience. And so I had a lot of plants. Of these 92 plants that I've registered, 4 of them are Clemson sort of themed, and 2 of them have Clemson Tiger in the name. And I've got those here. This is one of the ones. The genus on this plant is Billbergia, and it depends on how you grow it, but it's really mostly pretty orange most of the time. And it's Billbergia Clemson Tiger. So I thought that it would be a useful thing to have some, if you want to play tribute to Clemson, go ahead and name them this. There are like 5,000 plants that have been registered, bromeliads, and none of them are called Clemson Tiger. So it was a niche that we could have. And so that is Billbergia Clemson Tiger. And then this is another one. This is not a Billbergia, it's a Neoregelia. And it's one of the ones that I mentioned that are striped. And actually, if you look underneath, it'll get a little bit of orange underneath too. So it has not only the stripes, it has a little bit of the orange color. It didn't come like an epiphany or anything, other than the fact that this move here to Clemson was so good. It's been good for me. I hope it's been good for Clemson. It's been good for the family. It was a great place to raise kids. My wife ended up as the research librarian in biology at the Cooper Library. So it was perfect for us. So it's just a little way to say thank you, I think. This plant I named Class of 39. Actually, even being here at Clemson for 30 years or so, I didn't really know anything about the Class of 39. But these are people that graduated during World War II. And really in the, what do you call it, the Great Generation. And so the Class of 39 has taken I don't say abnormal, but an unusually serious liking to supporting Clemson University. And the way I got to know about it, they have an award every year that they give to faculty called the Class of 39 Award. In 2005, I was fortunate enough to receive that award, and so then you start to learn about the Class of 39. And they give scholarships to undergraduate students every year, and they give this award, and they have worked really hard in the South Carolina Botanical Gardens. I grew up in a family that liked to be outdoors, and my father his father was a big plant nurseryman in Atlanta, but we always had plants around. And so as I grew up, we were often out in the woods looking at plants and that sort of thing. So it's a very natural thing. Then in graduate school, this was at NC State, I met this girl that was in, I guess we say woman, don't we? She was in botany in graduate school. And so we both shared interest in plants. As a graduate student, we didn't have a lot of money. So a cheap date was to go to a plant nursery and look at the plants. And then when we moved to Clemson, we had another greenhouse built. We changed houses, had another greenhouse built. And then here we've got 2 greenhouses. So this is Billbergia Jim Sweeny. And I thought it was just really appropriate to have a plant that honored Jim. He was really a great fellow. Jim Sweeny, who I got to know very well, we had some interests in common. We both collected coins and things like that. So I got to know Jim very well. And Jim, all of these guys were so dedicated to Clemson and just so driven to make the university better. And Jim was certainly one of those characters. And I know he was a bit like a bulldog, and I remember hearing some of the administrators up in Sykes Hall say, when Jim was in town, they say, he's in the building, because he was coming to see the president with something that he wanted done. I have sort of a hobby disease because I'm a birder, create magic tricks, collect old books and old maps and stamps and coins. And it is almost a disease. So I don't recommend that for people. But to have one good hobby and go at it full blast, and I think as a career, you need to go at it full blast, as said, being a civil engineering professor. But you also need to have a hobby that you go at full blast that just takes your mind off what you do on a daily basis. As Dabo would say, just be all in, with both the hobby and the career.